Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by
811 is the number to call before you dig. 811 will help avoid fines, knocking out utility service, even injury. So call 811 before you dig.
And James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.
Pitch to Duffy, driven to deep right center field. He'll pull into third with a triple. Flashed into left field. Duffy's got it. The shovel to Tomlinson. Relay on to first and Pesa. Swung on and missed. Speared by Blackburn. Parker galloping in. Will slide and make the catch. Greetings and welcome to another episode of Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm your host, Jon Laaser. You know these guys. We'll meet them again in just a moment. Fox Sports 910's Wes McElroy and my broadcast partner all the way down there on the other side, Jay Burnham. But before we get to them, we get to one of our great community partners, and that is Utility Buddy from the City of Richmond Public Utilities. Utility Buddy is instrumental in conveying safety messages about natural gas, stormwater drainage, and calling 811 before you dig. For more information, go to richmondgov.com/DPU. And also, if you would like some Flying Squirrels free stuff, all you need to do is text FSI to 63975. That's 63975. All right, without further ado, I bring you guys in. And guys, it has been a continuing surge for this Flying Squirrels team. Jay, I'll start with you. Joe Biagini has led that charge in the starting rotation.
Yeah, Joe Biagini's been an ace for the Flying Squirrels. Here's one of the best pitchers in the Eastern League so far. No doubt he'll be an all-star. And the way he's been able to do it, throw strikes consistently. He's had some pretty good breaking stuff. Biagini, despite one slip and outing in his last start, he's been fantastic this year.
And before we get a little bit further into some of those guys, and it's also all-star time, Wes, I want to stay with Jay because the roster has turned over a bit, partner, and we've called that and described it, but this team has kept winning, and that's due to the emergence of a couple of newcomers. One of them joins us today. That's our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week and reliever Derek Law. The other, Angel Beltre.
Yeah, roster turnover, part of the business, unfortunately. Derek Law provides you such a stable arm in the back end of the bullpen, the eventual replacement for Josh Osich. And how about Angel Beltre? Squirrels get a plus defender in center field. Here's a guy that's coming back from not one, but two leg injuries, 22 games of big league experience, at one point a top prospect in the Rangers organization. Beltre really doesn't belong at the AA level. It's a low-risk, high-reward opportunity for the San Francisco Giants at 25 years of age. He's an exciting player to watch.
I wait to bring in Wes McElroy because those of you that listen to our segment on Wednesday, he does this. He does the weather. He talks about other topics while I sit there and stew, and then he finally gets me. I'm returning the favor, buddy. But when I do get to you, it's important because we talked last week while the Squirrels were in New England about the departures of Jack Snodgrass and Chris Stratton, and we said this rotation, though, might get better with Tyler Beede and Adalberto Mejia. Beede had a tough outing a couple nights ago. He's going to be fine. Mejia's been outstanding.
He has been. 4 starts, and the last one being 6 innings. Run scoreless ball, and you look at his first 2 starts. His first 2 starts were against Portland. So the second time around, they kind of figured him out. That'll be something to watch down the road. But all in all, he's recovered nicely after that second start, working with Steve Klein. He's really got his stuff together, and he seems to be getting start to start even better. As you mentioned with Beede, he's got the stuff. Past 2 outings have been rough, but he'll be the first one to tell you his stuff was high in the zone. It was flat. He's got the weapons. He'll work with Klein. He's just making that adjustment from Vanderbilt. And let's remember how quick he's come up from Vanderbilt to rookie ball, now to AA. He'll be fine.
Just 22 years old, just 17 professional appearances thus far. And oh, by the way, some news to announce in regard to Tyler Beede. Just named yesterday to the MLB Futures game, which will be played in conjunction with the Major League All-Star game in Cincinnati, Ohio. Quite an honor for the former Commodore. Jay, speaking of that, All-Star recognition time in the Eastern League. Rosters haven't quite yet been released, but we're expecting the Squirrels to send quite a contingent, including a number of position players. Who might they be?
Yeah, well, who are you going to leave out for the Flying Squirrels? I mean, Mac Williamson obviously has been one of the best right fielders in the Eastern League. Kelby Tomlinson leads the league in hitting. And I don't think we've seen a shortstop come through for the opposition that's been as quality as Rando Moreno has, both offensively and defensively, and that guy that energizes the lineup. So those 3 guys certainly. And then you throw in Ricky Oropesa, oh, by the way, player of the month in May. I think one of the guys that might be left out, unfortunately, offensively for the Flying Squirrels Squirrels is Devin Harris, but there's always some wiggle room with these rosters because they get announced. This is the time of the year that guys get promoted and then other guys fill in, and I think Harris is going to be one of those guys.
And Harris might be a fill-in, as Wes says, or Jay says, because we do have more breaking news. I'm not wearing an earpiece, so you'll see through the fact that I'm not just learning this, but we came into the show this morning knowing that both Kelby Tomlinson and Mac Williamson have actually been promoted to AAA Sacramento last night. Congratulations to both of those guys. Certainly we were expecting that at any time, but that means generally they'll pull somebody from your roster. Devin Harris would certainly fit that bill, leading the league in doubles. All right, Wes, plenty of arms as well. We touched on Joe Biagini. He's been the headliner to this point in the season, and that's why we opened the show with him, but he's got some other guys that should be going with him to Portland.
And I think one is definitely Josh Osich. 19 of 20 save opportunities converted, and you would think about how tough the season started in April. He would have more, if not, for some victories or some positions to be in a win. But 19 of 20 save opportunities, and listen to these numbers. Since May 4th, really when this run of the Squirrels turned around, 23 appearances, 2 earned run, 0 walks. That screams all-star appearance. So Osich will be accompanying Biagini up there in the pitching.
Guess what? No, he will not, because I have more inside information that you didn't have coming in here today. Josh Osich also promoted to AAA Sacramento. This is a game I like to call bait and switch. Set him up, knock him out of the park. Osich packing his bags last night. It actually felt a lot like the last day of the season, guys, last night after a rain-shortened game because so many guys were cleaning out their lockers. So congratulations to Josh, a long time coming, and we saw the remarkable turnaround with that addition of his cutter and the return of his velocity this year for Josh. Couldn't be happier for him. However, that leads to another replacement. Phil McCormick was joking with me last night. He said, I'm going to be an all-star. That's actually the way he phrased it to me. He was sad to see his buddy Josh Osich go, but at the same time he recognizes with the season that he's had, including his last outing, he probably will be going. Some guys that we do know, and I'm not going to do it to you again, Wes. I'm going to send it to Jay here. These guys are going because they're representing the Squirrels as a result of being last year's Western Division champions, the staff. That's going to be great for Jose Alguacil, Steve Klein, may get a replacement in Lee Smith. Kenny Joyce isn't getting a replacement. What a thrill that's going to be for the Portland native.
Yeah, Kenny Joyce, being from Portland, this guy is Mr. Maine. I mean, he runs hitting camps up there during the off-season. Everybody knows Kenny in the state of Maine, and this is a guy that only gets to go there once a year because the Squirrels only make that one trip to New England. So excited for him. 6th year with the Flying Squirrels, and he's having a pretty good year offensively for his team as well.
Jay, there was an under-the-radar signing. You mentioned a no-risk, high-reward signing in Angel Beltre. Another guy fits that bill, and that's a former Nationals farmhand named Jeff Coburnis. We saw him tear up this league at the beginning of the season 2 years ago. He's disappeared due to some injuries, but as Kelby Tomlinson leaves, which we just talked about, Coburnis, who's been down in extended spring training, rumored to be coming here to Richmond, he's a very similar player.
I'd actually forgotten about him until you mentioned him for the rundown. And here's a guy, 27 years of age, you mentioned a couple years ago, really blitzing through this Eastern League, made his Major League debut with the Washington Nationals, suffered some injuries. Isn't that a familiar story for some of these guys? So on the rebound, here's a guy that can play plus defensively, has a bloodline of baseball with his father being a Major League player, and a guy that can steal some bases, also play infield and outfield. So he made his single-A debut yesterday as we record this on a Friday. We might see Coburnis at some point down the line.
Yeah, I think we definitely will, and the Squirrels obviously have a slew of roster moves coming before they hit the road for a week, starting with New Britain. All right, seriously, Wes, this time, buddy, I'm not going to bait and switch you on this. Josh Osich is gone, which means the Squirrels have a huge gap at the back end of their bullpen. They'll need to fill it. Now, obviously, Derek Law was doing a superlative job as the Squirrels closer last year before, unfortunately, he was hurt, and he will be with us today. You can see him standing behind the camera right now, so you know that he is, in fact, on this roster at the moment. Law's going to fill in, but coming off that surgery, might need a couple other arms like Tyler Mazenko, too.
And that's it, because you're going to have to piecemeal this. You're going to have to feel this out, and Derek Law's experienced. I mean, you go back to last year, 27 appearances, 13 of 14 save opportunities, but working his way back, you just can't throw him into a full workload, and that's why we're going to see this really just kind of a, not a committee by approach, but you're going to see about 2 to 3 names take over what Josh Osich has started.
And Yohan Gregorio, coming off the disabled list, also looked very sharp in his outing last night. Bullpen has been heavily taxed, though, over the last couple of days. They'll get some reinforcement and some arms coming down from Sacramento, I'm told, and we will have news on that later today, I understand, from the San Francisco Giants. All right, guys, we've beaten around the bush enough. We do have some news as it pertains to the look of this show and to the look of our booth and the radio side going forward. And, Jay, I start with you. Congratulations, my friend, on being named the new voice of the Flying Squirrels.
I'm going to deflect that and give you a congratulations. congratulations. Actually, John O'Connor of the Richmond Times-Dispatch called it a battlefield promotion for me because you are going to be the voice of Virginia Tech football and basketball.
I was hiding in the boat.
It is a tremendous, tremendous honor for you to be the new voice of the Hokies. And I want to just say, and I've said it on air and I'll say it again as you join us up, as you don't leave until the All-Star break. I left a pretty high-profile job in Trenton, New Jersey with the New York Yankees to join you specifically on the radio broadcast because of your talents and your ability. And it's something that's been able to rub off on me over the previous 3 years, and I'll be forever grateful for it. And so I appreciate it very much.
And I'm going to say I'm forever grateful as a fan because I'm a guy who grew up listening to Harry Callis tell stories on the radio when I went to bed. And seeing how my bedtime is now about 9 o'clock to wake up at 3:30, I've always enjoyed not only your calls but your storytelling. And you are the best. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations on your call.
Hey, hold on. I look forward to forwarding
They're giving me the time cues over here.
Hey, I look forward to forwarding all my "You're not Jon Laaser" emails directly to your new Virginia Tech account, buddy. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
I didn't even get to talk about Derek Law's new hair, by the way.
We've got about 8 minutes with Derek Law coming up here on FSI Field to do that. No, my sincere thanks, guys. You're both my great friends. This won't be the end for us. And we do come back. It's not the end of the show either. We're going to have a new look on the interview as well as Wes McElroy, some exciting new television opportunities. And one of those is talking to the guy with the best lettuce in the Eastern League. He's right-hander Derek Law. He is our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week, and he is with us right after this.
Welcome to the first edition of Flying Squirrels Insider. I'm one of your hosts, Anthony Opperman, alongside my broadcast partner, Jon Laaser. And as everybody knows, the Flying Squirrels, we like to do things a little bit differently, Lays, and Flying Squirrels Insider will be no exception.
Can we get that one, please?
No donut for you!
Late, always late. It's hot as heck. It was his idea to wear suits every time.
This is why Van Halen broke up.
One swing, one ball. I can hit a home run 500 feet out of here.
Not a chance.
All right, let's do it.
Ooh.
A lot of people think they know what goes on in the bullpen, but what are you guys actually doing during the course of the game?
You know, it's pretty laid back. We're focusing on every pitch, every inning, being ready to go in there at any moment's notice, really.
You know, these guys always underestimate the radio guy. It's one of the things I've dealt with throughout my entire career. Hit it up!
When the interns start the Go Nuts chant, I think they're yelling donuts. Then I think about bear claws and eventually panda bears. They're really cute.
Ooh, least favorite planet. You know, I guess I'd say the moon, because no one's been there in a while.
You realize the moon is not a planet, correct?
I realize that now.
Focus, breathe out your eyelids, and go get them.
Do I get a butt pat? Okay.
And we're looking for the strike him out, throw him out. Beautiful pitch, Wes. We'll try that one more time.
Squirrels satisfied.
Gonna break down tape. Gonna check out some Esto Presto.
Oh, it's the tenacity I love. That's what I'm talking about, Chris. You gotta take that out to the mound.
He's coming in, not all that high. We can't hurt Mark before the series.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's coming maybe a little bit lower. Okay.
Those cleats are pretty
he's not trying to, yeah. Those are the loafer cleats, by the way, available at select stores.
Right. Stay squirrely, my friends.
If you wanna be with Beach, baby, there's a price to pay. He'd be a genie in a bottle. You gotta come on his start day.
We're gonna act like kids because it's baseball season, and we're so glad that you're gonna be a part of it with us on Flying Squirrels Insider.
Welcome back to Flying Squirrels Insider. If you remember the beginning of the 2014 Flying Squirrels campaign, Derek Law made 27 appearances, came out of the bullpen and converted 13 of 14 save opportunities. He looked like his career was on the fast track to San Francisco. That was until a year ago in June when Derek on the mound heard a pop. He had torn his ulnar collateral ligament and needed Tommy John surgery. Well, Derek is back with the Flying Squirrels in a rehab and trying to make his way to San Francisco, and he is this week's James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week, and he joins us on the set here of FSI. Take me back a year ago. You obviously knew something was wrong. Was it a surprise or was it a shock when they had told you that you needed Tommy John surgery?
Well, we were in Reading when the initial pitch happened. You know, I heard the pop. I was never hurt before, so I kind of tried to pitch through it. Didn't want to believe that, you know, it was, you know, the worst. So I threw a couple pitches after that, and it was almost unbearable. Called off the mound. It was actually a really long story. Like, we had to go from there, then we went to Trenton, and Trenton I had to take a train to New York to see the doctor. The doctor did all the tests. He said, "Oh, everything's okay." I was like, "Oh, thank God, everything's okay." And then they sent me out to Arizona for basically, like, you know, a second opinion, and that's when I heard the news, and I was like, "Oh no!" And then,
so you were almost mentally torn. You kind of thought maybe this isn't the worst case scenario.
I said, well, maybe there's a possibility of me actually, you know, coming back, maybe just rehab for like a month, then come back, and that's it. I didn't think the worst case possible was going to happen, actually.
What is it like for a ball player? Because in the minors, everyone has a different story, and you're all trying to make the show. You're all trying to get that call up. But what is it like to be told that you're going to be out of baseball for minimal a year?
You know, it just hits you. All you do is play baseball for how many days, and it gets lonely after you have the surgery because you're not used to sitting around and doing nothing. You kind of feel like a loser, but yeah. So it's a lot of sitting around, and it's just like a lonely feeling. You know, you get that gut feeling. You're just like, man, I can't believe this is happening to me. Like, why me?
Is the rehab tougher mentally or physically?
Mentally, by far mentally. There's a lot of physical stuff, but I feel like as an athlete, you know, you deal with all the physical stuff. The mental game was, you know, the first 10 weeks I was in the brace, it was absolutely like, it just tore me apart.
What was it like to get back and crank it up for the first time and throw that first pitch?
Oh man, especially here with the crowd, it was exciting. It's just like, oh, finally I'm back, you know.
Derek joins us here, and Derek on the field coming up with Jon Laaser. He's going to show us some of the exercise and some of the rehab that he did to get back with the Flying Squirrels. So you mentioned you put back on that uniform, but looking back on it now a year later, how much did it change your outlook on the game, on life, and on your baseball future?
You definitely don't take anything for granted anymore, I'll say that.
Yeah.
That's probably the main thing. Like, you know, you don't like shagging BP, and I'm sitting there in a hotel room with a sling on, you're like, man, I wish I could just shag with everybody. You know, you miss the camaraderie with the guys and everything like that, but hey, it's just great to be back, I'll say that. It's
great to be back at the Diamond, and if you don't know Derek, he is a big movie buff. I think you've seen all the movies in the theater so far this summer. Best movie you saw so far. Give everyone a recommendation.
Best movie. Jurassic World was good, Mad Max is good. New Avengers was good. I've seen a lot of movies twice. That's how bad it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Entourage, thumbs up or thumbs down?
Thumbs up. Not 2 thumbs up, but I'll give a thumbs up.
See, he's got a future as a movie critic, but he's got a future as a pitcher, and that's going to continue with the Flying Squirrels. And when we come back with Derek, Jon Laaser will join us here on the field, and he's going to run you through some of the exercises and some of the rehab that it took to get back from Tommy John surgery. Much more on Flying Squirrels Insider with Derek Law, our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week. We'll be right back on Flying Squirrels Insider.
Back on FSI Field with our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week, Squirrels right-hander Derek Law. My thanks to Wes McElroy for taking some work off my plate this week. D-Law, great to be with you, buddy. I was actually listening to that interview you just did with Wes, and I was there in Reading the day you got hurt, and I know the process that it was just to get you to the surgery. And we're going to have you show some of the things you did to recover from that surgery. But first, just take me to that place mentally. You decided to go with Dr. James Andrews, as so many athletes do. What was the actual surgery day like?
You know, they set me up nicely. It was in Pensacola, so I mean, what better place to have surgery than a nice beach? But I got up around maybe 6 o'clock. Surgery was around 7:30, 8 o'clock. The surgery itself wasn't too long. It was about 2.5, 3 hours. I know my girlfriend was there with me, taking care of me. And afterwards, I thought I was going to be sore or whatnot, and I had no pain, no nothing. So, you know, I didn't have to take any of the meds for that, which was nice. And later on that day, it was probably around 6. Went on the beach, was laying on the beach in like nice little cast. I know people were probably looking at me, but I was enjoying myself as much as I could.
You mentioned your girlfriend was there with you, and chicks dig scars. You get a pretty impressive one out of this. I know you guys call it the club, the Tommy John Surgery Club, but lift that up if you wouldn't mind to show our viewers, and look at that, all the way up and inside down. But it's actually not a big ligament, the ulnar collateral, and it leaves that scar. So you're looking at that, and you get down to Arizona, and they say, all right, Derek, we're going to begin this process. You know it's going to take about a year to come back. What were the preliminary steps? It sounds like they were pretty simple.
Yeah, the first week, they pretty much just kept taking out the gauze pads because of all the stuff. They had to clean it up and all that. And then a week later, I'd say a week and a half, they put me in the brace. And week by week, it slowly pushes out until your arm's straight, and then you finally get it off. And when you get it off, it's like, oh yeah, it's finally off. And then I can walk around.
So basically, what you just said there was the goal initially was just for you to straighten your arm again.
Yeah, it's just to get your range of motion back. That's pretty much the main goal. And then you can start doing pretty much everything.
So week by week by week, and I know that got long for you, particularly down in the heat that is the summer down in Arizona, but eventually what do you start doing in terms of some simple arm strengthening exercises?
Well, actually, everything that we did, even like leg exercise and all that, consisted of arm stuff. It's more so for your shoulder instead of your elbow. A lot of like stuff like, with 5-pound weights, you go out like that.
I use 5-pound weights for everything.
Yeah, come straight forward. Also, a lot of band work. You put there's a little thing here. You put the band, pull it out here. You got to hold it for a couple seconds. Oh, there goes the ball. And then
there's penalties if that happens during actual reaction.
Can't do that. It's a block. And then you pull it down, then get it from below, pull it back up. And it's pretty much just, you keep doing that day in and day out. There's a lot of scap work. You get on a physio ball, and you go back with the weights, and then basically the same thing. It's all out, and a lot of shoulder strengthening. So I can see why people come back throwing harder, like Hunter Strickland.
Yeah, absolutely, and you as well thus far since you've returned. To me, though, that looks very boring. How annoying was that for you?
Oh man, there's days. I'll tell you what. Halfway through, there's days you're going in. You're like, oh man, I know I'm gonna have to do this again and again and again and again and again. And you just got to tell yourself it's gonna get you better.
Well, D-Law, I know as a friend, I've been really glad to have you back, as is the Squirrels bullpen. Real quickly, something I've always wanted to show people, something unique about you. You've got one of the best curveballs I've ever seen, but you throw it uncharacteristically. Show our viewers your odd grip as we close out this segment with our James Limousine Luxury Player.
Well, I throw everything over the seams, so fastballs like that, curveballs like that. Well, my second curveball is like that.
The 3 fingers, and most throw it like this.
Yeah.
But Derek Law, he's got his own way, and we're hoping that way gets him to San Francisco soon. D-Law, good to be with you, buddy.
Thanks, Lace.
Derek Law, our James Limousine Luxury Player of the Week. In baseball, goodbyes are generally both extremely happy and also a touch sad. We are always thrilled for a player or coach that has climbed to that next level and have gotten closer to their ultimate dreams. But we're also a twinge sad to see them go. Countless times over the past 6 years, I have remarked to a member of the team that you never quite know when that call you've been waiting a lifetime for is coming. And I have then watched as that person has received that call and has gone on to do remarkable things at the highest level. Just last week, in fact, we sat glued to the television and watched Chris Heston throw a no-hitter in New York City. Yes, the very same Chris Heston that you just saw in our Best Of segment. Well, this week I was fortunate enough to receive that call myself from Virginia Tech University. And as I have expressed numerous times in the past week, I look at being named the voice of the Hokies as the opportunity of a lifetime. I was sincerely humbled by the number of people that reached out with congratulatory well wishes. The fact that many of those people were either current or former Squirrels made it that much more gratifying. However, my joy is certainly tempered to some degree by the fact that it means the end of my time as the voice of the Squirrels and the host of this show. I am tremendously honored to turn both of those titles over to my dear friend Jay Burnham, but it is exceptionally difficult to say goodbye to an organization in the Squirrels and a show in FSI that I helped build from the very beginning. I will carry fond memories of building the Squirrels with Parney, Chuck Domino, Bill Papierniak, Tom Denlinger, Brendan Porter, Anthony Opperman, and many others for the rest of my life. The same is true of this show, which along with Craig Keaton, Bryant Dameron, John Felton, Gwyn Brown, and our entire crew, we conceptualized and turned into a reality. Along the way, I have said hello to and then again goodbye to coworkers, friends, players, coaches, and managers that have impacted me in profound ways. I am eternally grateful to them, as I am to you, the Squirrels fans, for what I always considered a distinct privilege. It has been an honor to be your voice and your host. I will miss you all immensely. As they say, I will see you when the cows come home. And until then, I wish you all the best of luck. That's it for FSI this week. For all of us here at the Diamond, I'm Jon Laaser saying so long for now.
Production funding for Flying Squirrels Insider is made possible in part by...
The smell of natural gas escaping is a pungent odor like rotten eggs, a bad smell for a really good reason, your safety. If you ever smell the strong rotten egg odor of natural gas, leave the area, go where the smell is no longer present, and call 911.
And James Limousine, driven to serve Richmond for 22 years. JamesLimousine.com, 804-273-1540.